So, as I said, I wanted to talk a little post-launch information for you, share with you some photos and some information about now that the mission is going. Just look at that beautiful long view. Hello, everybody. How are you out there? It's Kelly, your solar system ambassador, and I hope you're doing well out there. I'm back with another video to talk about the amazing launch of the Artemis 1 mission yesterday. So spectacular. I hope you were able to catch it live. If you didn't, then you were able to catch it on the replay. What a spectacular, pretty much flawless launch yesterday after so many delays. That's why I wanted to start this video with this photo of just a representation of how far we've come with the Artemis program. With all the delays, how many times have we waited for a launch and then they scrubbed it for a variety of reasons? But finally, we were able to get it off the launch pad yesterday. So, if this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, hello, I'm Kelly, and I'm a solar system ambassador for NASA and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory here in Pasadena, California. And it's my joy as a science enthusiast to bring the missions and science of NASA to the public in a fun and understandable way. So, as I said, I wanted to talk a little post launch information for you, share with you some photos and some information about now that the mission is going. So, of course, I have my slides for you. So, I just wanted to show you some pictures and some graphics of what's to come. So, as I said, what a beautiful launch it was yesterday. And we also were treated to the fact that it was a night launch. So it was just maybe that much more spectacular, lighting up the night sky in Florida. And if you were in Florida to see it, I hope it was just as spectacular with the naked eye as it was for the rest of us who got to watch it on TV. So there were a lot of VIPs that were able to see it in person in the bleachers there, not too far from the launch pad. That's probably about between 3 to 6 miles away from the launch pad. Most people can't really get that close to it, so you want to be at a safe distance. I know I went in 2011 to see the last shuttle launch. So we were about that far away as well too. But unfortunately, that mission, that launch was scrubbed. So we tried to wait around for a few days for them to reattempt it, but it was scrubbed for a whole month. So it's pretty spectacular to see something like that at night take off. And this morning, this is what the launch pad looked like because we launched last night. Uh, a very spectacular view that we see that there is no SLS and Orion rocket spacecraft sitting on the launch pad. Now, one of the really exciting things about that launch last night are these three heroes right here. I'm calling them heroes. A lot of people in the media and NASA are all calling them the heroes. This is the Red Crew. This is Trent Annis, Billy Cairns, and Chad Garrett. And if you were watching the countdown last night, there's always a hold for about 30 minutes. They stop the clock at about 10 minutes before launch, and they hold for about 30 minutes to do some checks and balances to make sure everything is a go for launch. But prior to that, I would say about 3 hours before launch time, there was another hydrogen leak. And if you remember some of the past attempts to launch, there were other hydrogen leaks, but that was with the rocket itself. This time, the hydrogen leak was with the mobile launcher, which is the mobile launcher is what the rocket is attached to and rolled out from the VAB building. It's this structure right here that is the mobile crawler, the mobile launcher that is the rocket's attached to. So this structure, when they're fueling the rocket at the launch pad, the hoses and the tanks and everything are connected to this structure, and that is how they fuel the rocket at the launch pad. Well, the leak was actually a valve on the mobile launcher. So the red crew, they are trained that in the event of an emergency and there is something that they think they can fix at the launch pad right before launch, they send these three guys out. It's pretty much never happened before. I shouldn't say it hasn't happened. It actually happened, as a matter of fact. This same type of valve hydrogen leak happened during the Apollo 11 launch, right before they launched them into space for the Apollo 11 mission to to Mars, to the moon. They also had a hydrogen leak, and the red crew, obviously a different crew back in the 60s, they went out and they also tightened some bolts on the valve, and it ended up stopping the leak. So this red crew, they also went out in their little vehicles you see there, I have circled for you. And it's a very, very dangerous situation because once the rocket is fueled, it is basically like a live bomb. So no personnel is within a certain radius of the rocket. So it's a very dangerous situation for anybody to be there. But that's what this crew is designed for. That's what they trained for. And they were interviewed last night. I took a screen capture of them being interviewed after the launch, and just to hear from their perspective what it was like to get that call finally for the first time for them. And they had to go out, they had to do their jobs. They did it perfectly. They got the leak stopped, and we were able to launch it. Now, Billy Cairns there on the far left in the sort of beigeish brown shirt, he has been working at NASA and he's been part of the Red Crew for 37 years. And this is the very first time that he was ever called out and had to do a last minute repair on the launch pad of a live rocket. So we are so very grateful for these three gentlemen for risking their lives to do that type of last minute repair. But just the fact it shows how much of a group effort this really is for something this major and this dangerous. It's not a one person operation. There are thousands and thousands of people that have worked together to get us to this point. So now, what I have for you is let's talk about the Orion spacecraft. Now that it's in space, it has been launched. We have been getting back some pretty awesome photos from the Orion spacecraft. That's because there are 16 separate cameras inside and outside for the entire duration of the mission. And again, this is a test mission, so NASA has a lot of things that they are going to be testing, a lot of data that is going to be coming back from this entire test mission. So they want as much data from all angles, from all sensors, from all cameras that they can get, that they will pour over and will give them information about what they need to change or what worked, what didn't work for the upcoming Artemis missions in the future. So this is one of the photos that it returned last night, and what you see sort of floating off into space, it's called the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. And this is an artist rendition of what it looks like. If it back in the day when this is an artist rendition, that they will jettison after it does its job. Now, what its main purpose was to help the Orion spacecraft with what is called the translunar injection boost. And it's a 17, 18 roughly minute burn of the engine. And what it's doing is helping the Orion spacecraft escape the gravity of Earth on a trajectory to Mars, or Mars. I keep saying Mars, Mars, Moon, they all start with an M. So, this translunar injection, the Apollo program did it as well. So, it's just a very long burn of the engine and to escape Earth's gravity, eventually on its way to the moon. And then the moon's gravity will capture it, and then it will be in orbit around the moon. So, the 18-minute burn happened about an hour and a half after launch last night. And most everybody went to bed after the launch, but I stayed up and I watched all the other critical things that needed to happen after the launch, like main engine cutoff and the solid rocket boosters, being jettisoned. This translunar injection, they also did a couple course corrections, so it was pretty exciting to see all of that happen in real time with these cameras. Now, this is a big infographic that NASA had put out months ago, just to give you an overview of what the mission is. I split it into two images so you can sort of see the text a little bit better. But this first section, the mission has pretty much already accomplished. Those are basically steps 1 through 8, which is launch and jettison of the SLS rocket and the fairing, so the Orion spacecraft could be exposed, the translunar injection burn, all of those have been completed. So the second half, basically, of the mission is just the Orion spacecraft traveling out to the moon, out past the moon, and back. One of the other really cool things, NASA wanted to pack as much as they possibly could into this mission. So there are 10 small CubeSats that are going along for the mission. And they are going to be jettisoned they were sort of stored inside that interim cryogenic propulsion stage that separated from the Orion spacecraft. And so those are going to be deployed at various stages in between Earth and the moon. And we will be talking about some of the science missions that those little CubeSats are going to be doing too. But as I said, NASA wanted to stuff as many things into this mission as possible. So the Orion spacecraft will be flying by for the first time of the moon on November 21st, which I believe is next Tuesday, actually. And after that, it's going to be traveling about 40,000 miles past the moon. So NASA can start to understand deeper space travel for future missions. And then once it travels that far out, then it's going to come back, do a bunch of laps around the moon, um, take photos, a lot of different scientific instruments. As I said in one of my previous videos, there are 3 mannequins aboard the Orion spacecraft, and one of them is wearing a radiation vest because they want to see, especially going out 40,000 miles past the moon, they want to see how the radiation is going to be affecting, future astronauts on future missions. The total mission time from start to finish is going to be about 25 and a half days. And that means that Orion is going to be doing a spectacular reentry into Earth's atmosphere and splashdown, which is set for December 11th. And that's going to be about 60 miles off the coast of California. So, yay, West Coasters, it's going to be heading towards us when it comes back to Earth. If you want to keep track of the mission, you can go to this website. It's nasa.gov/specials/track Artemis. And there you'll be able to see speed of the spacecraft, the distance between the Earth and the moon, countdown days, you name it. So all of the information will be there at this website. So you'll be able to track it if you want to. So that's what I have for you right now. Again, very, very exciting that we finally, after many delays, which are expected, rocket launches are a very tricky business. So we're just so happy and grateful that the launch happened yesterday, and it was a pretty perfect textbook right down the middle mission and launch. So very exciting. I, of course, as always, with every launch that I watch, teared up pretty good, just because now we are officially a part of the Artemis generation. Our parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, cousins in the past were part of the Apollo generation, but now we're part of the Artemis generation. So if you have any questions about anything that I covered in this video, let me know, drop me a line, and I will be happy to give you any extra information. And I'll be back very soon with another video because we have a lot to talk about this mission. We have a lot to talk about of all the beautiful images that have been coming out from the James Webb Space Telescope. There is just so much going on at NASA and in the space community that we have a lot of ground to cover within the next weeks, months, and even years. So thanks for watching. I hope you're doing well out there, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.